Every once in a while, I'll have somebody ask me, how do I get into programming? So here's my take on how to get into programming. Tip number one, find a problem in your life which could be solved by code. This isn't a deeper question. I'm not asking you to solve your money problems with your new Bitcoin app idea. If you have any really boring shit you can take and turn into an engaging project, then you won't need nearly as much motivation as someone who is solving abstract problems out of a book like they're in a math class. If you work a boring desk job, my friend, you are in luck. The more boring and stupid a problem is, the easier it'll be to automate. Programming at its core is about breaking a larger problem into smaller ones. So if those smaller pieces are dumber and easier, then it's going to be an easier problem to solve. Limiting the scope, especially in the beginning, is by far the most important thing to keep in mind. Here's an example of the kind of problem you're going to want to start with. I used to work at a job where my primary responsibility was to watch over an inbox, open up an email with an attachment in it, add my name at the bottom, and forward the email. So myself, being the lazy shit that I was, wrote a script which would open up the email, plot my name at the bottom, and send that puppy out the door. Writing that script saved me from having to do anything all summer, but more importantly, it gave me a massive confidence boost, as I had managed to finish something that was genuinely useful for myself. Tip number two, pick a language and learn the basics. Now that you hopefully have a problem to solve, you're going to need to learn some basic syntax in order to tell the computer what to do. Ignore anyone who tells you to do it in X language or use X tool, or if you're not writing public static void main, you're not programming. The ideas are mostly the same no matter what language you choose. Your best bet is to just pick one and stick with it. Python is a great starting point in my opinion. I've put a list of introductory courses and books in the description. But if your goal is to solve a problem at work, you might only have access to Microsoft Excel. So turning on the developer mode and writing a VBA script might be a better starting point for you. Tip number three, do a little bit every day. If you're loving it, by all means, put in that 10-hour day. But if you're like most people, a 10-hour day is either not feasible or it's just going to burn you out. Try and stick with the no 0 days rule. So try to do just at least 5 minutes a day, and you'll find yourself, once you've sat down to do the 5 minutes, you end up normally sitting there for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, that kind of thing. However, as long as you can just sit in front of the computer and write a couple lines of code down a few times a week, you will see yourself improve. Tip number four, accept writer's block. You're going to feel stupid. I tried playing the piano with two hands at the same time the other day. It sucked. I also just bought a piano, so it makes complete sense. Programming can be complicated, and that's okay. If you follow through with the no 0 days technique and get a good night's sleep, it'll eventually set in. Tip number five, use Google and whatever other resources you can think of to solve the problem you initially set out to tackle. This isn't school. This is the real world. There's nobody looking behind over your shoulder to make sure you're not cheating. Use Google to the fullest. As someone who programs for a living, the skill I pride myself most on is using search engines. Where I might lack in memory and organization, I make up for in finding purple links like it's nobody's business. You're going to find yourself at first typing out some pretty wacky Google searches, like, how do I make email bot code? And Google's probably going to find you a couple things. But you'll gradually see yourself making more and more specific Google searches where you might be asking, I don't know, how do I hit an SMTP server with Python? Anyways, I hope this video was useful. If you disagree with anything, I'll be in the comments section to refute any and all criticism. I thought it'd be funny to have a video that I could smugly link people when I get asked this question twice a year. So, peace.